Hey, welcome on everybody into the pilot episode here of Between the Posts, where we'll be breaking down the Premier League season each and every single week. I'm your host, Jason Mattis, and I'll be joined every week by my good friend Matt. How's it going there, man?
Jason, it's going well. I'm very excited to be on the show with you.
Yeah, and I'm excited, but I know more importantly, also our viewing audience will also be excited. As this is a pilot episode, I want to go ahead and tell you guys a little bit about myself, a little bit about what we'll be doing here. Obviously, breaking down each and every game through the Premier League season. As we go through these games, we'll be kind of giving you guys our leans, what we like about it, but then make sure you stay till the end of the show, and we'll give you our official bets, ones that we've actually got our money behind, and that you want to make sure you can also put your money behind. Who I am, my name's Jason Mattis, big time soccer guy. I've been playing it since I was 5 years old. Big time fan as well. Went over to Brazil for the 2024 World Cup. Been betting soccer for a handful of years, so soccer is in my blood per se. So, Matt, how do you want to tell the people about you, man?
Well, I'm a huge fan, obviously, a huge soccer fan. Been like that for about 15 years now. I went to Anfield. That was a crazy match against Chelsea a couple years ago, and yeah, I've just been just a humongous fan of football and betting it. So I do some work for Sportsbook Review in my spare time, and I do some live betting shows. That's kind of where I also have been able to find some value over the years is definitely some live betting. So, yeah, very, very happy and excited to join you. This is going to be a lot of fun this season.
Yeah, you're definitely a great follow on Twitter. You get some great live bets, man, from you watching those games. So yeah, definitely make sure you give Matt a follow on Twitter. He'll help you for certainly put money in your pocket. I want to get over to a Premier League stadium at one point. The closest I've ever been is I went to a Champions League game in Barcelona. I saw Barcelona versus AC Milan about a decade or so ago. Obviously, fantastic atmosphere, but yeah, Anfield. I bet that is. I mean, it's crazy on TV. I can only imagine how great it was for you sitting in those stands.
Was that when Ibrahimovic was still at Milan?
Yeah, it was fantastic. Fantastic
Yeah, yeah,
game.
that was the good old days. Robinho maybe for AC
Yeah,
Milan. Oh gosh, that was a good one. I
yeah,
remember watching that match.
yeah.
Alexander Pato from Brazil.
AC Milan nicked a draw. They got a draw, but it came in like FIFA time, came in like injury time, and just leaving that stadium. Obviously, all the Spanish people in Barcelona, they were just pissed. They were pissed leaving that stadium. I felt a little bit nervous in that stadium because you can see behind me, I've got the AC Milan jersey up. So I was a little nervous leaving that stadium that day, to say the least. So
Yeah, that would be kind of sketchy.
yeah, all right, so before we do get on into the season, guys, and talk about these 10 games obviously going on this weekend, we've got, well, first of all, we got that comment section up. Anything you guys want to go ahead and shout out there, we'd love to hear from you guys. Let us know your thoughts on these games as we run through them. Before we do that, though, let's talk about some high level things. Let's talk about the season before it actually gets kicked off. One thing I just want to mention is VAR. We got some changes to VAR going on this season. Should see less soft penalties and possibly some less offsides. They're going to make that line a little bit thicker. So no longer when your pinky is beyond my shoulder, that's not going to be offsides this year. So I'm looking forward to some less offsides as a better. I look forward to that, and then also look forward to less offsides. And then for some title race, I've got it down between City and Chelsea predominantly. Other teams obviously were closely behind them. What are some of the things you're looking forward to this season there, Matt?
I think definitely the VAR changes, yeah, increasing and expanding, thickening that line for VAR for offsides is going to be huge. Just I think the way that they've been doing it the past couple seasons and just making the margins so tight where it's your shoulder, it's the jersey hanging off your shoulder. It just gets a bit ridiculous, and so now things will be a little bit more level, and I think that we could see maybe a couple more goals because of that.
Yeah, I still want to see them take one more step further with VAR, and I don't really get it. Why can't they do that centrally, right? I know they have the VAR official in the stadium, but why can't that be done like in London so it's the same guy making the judgments? It's stuff's lightning quick, right? I don't understand why we have, 10 different humans making the call. If we had it centralized, we get a lot more consistency, and I think obviously that's what the fans want, is consistent. Call it either way you want, just call it consistently whatever way you want to call it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point, having it centrally, and then as well, the Premier League just doesn't do a good enough job of for penalties actually having the referee go over to the monitor. You see it in so many other leagues and so many other tournaments where they actually get involved and they go make the decision on what they just had ruled basically, and for whatever reason in the Premier League, it just sparingly gets used. Someone else is making that call, and I do not like that about it.
Yeah, someone who's not on the pitch getting a feel for the game. Now that's a great point right there. Any future bets? Anything you've got going on leading up to this season? I don't know. I don't personally don't have any, but do you have any yourself?
I do. I have a few. I don't generally like to have too many, just because it's sitting there for a long time. There is one that I think that everyone though should get on, because I think it's like if you have money in the bank or whatever, instead of just letting it sit there, you might as well have it, work for you. And this is not even the Premier League either. This is just Bayern Munich, PSG to win the title, minus 300. Combine those two. I think that is, at minus 300, it's something that obviously you feel a little bit worried about. But to me, I just see it as being like an absolute stone cold lock. And so I have no problem having those stone cold locks sit there for a little bit and just trying to let the money work for me a little bit. So that's one that I did place. I mean, when you think about just having, money sitting in the account, and then you see PSG minus 750 at most outlets, I know that it's minus 750 and you're going to have to let it sit there for a while, but it's going to cash. So why not just take the free money while you can,
Yeah.
you know? But then when we go to the Premier League, so I've got three of them. I've got Leeds to finish in the top half. They were able to do that last season with no fans in the stands. They didn't make a ton of off-season transfers, but they just really have this squad galvanized under Marcel Bielsa, and I just see them really being quality. They did make one signing here. I'm just spacing on his name right now. He's very good though. Junior Firpo from Barcelona, very good left back. He's going to play wing back for them. Very attacking down the flanks. I remember him at Real Betis before he made the Barcelona transfer. So there's a reason why Barcelona were in on him. Now Barcelona are in a financial crisis. They have to sell players, and I think that Leeds just scooped up an absolute gem. They really did. They just scooped up a gem for about 13 million pounds. It's a very, very underrated transfer for them to be able to solidify their defense a little bit more, be able to provide more width down the flanks. So I like Leeds to finish in the top half. That is a minus 140 wager. They were able to finish ninth last season.
Yes.
I think that they do better this year. Getting fans back in the stands, it is going to be rowdy there at the home ground. So I think that Leeds, and also when we're kind of looking in the first 9-10 weeks, one thing I was able to pick out about a week ago when I was doing some of my research, Leeds opening 9 fixtures look very, very nice. I probably am going to be betting Leeds every single week for the first 2 months.
Okay, cool.
I really am. I don't see any reason why not to. I think that I'll be able to scoop out, a few units from that. Then when I'm looking at Villa as a top half finish, I think that they spent the Grealish money properly, bringing in Buendia, bringing in the likes of the player from Bailey from Leverkusen, Leon Bailey, and I just think that they're just solid enough to be able to finish top 10. That's a plus 110. So I fancy both of those teams to be inside and top half finishes. And then another one is, and it's my last one, it's at minus 110, Liverpool over 76.5 points this season. I think that a lot of people are really sleeping on Liverpool.
Hammer that bet. Hammer, 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 hammer. That's a good one.
I think that's what I'm saying. I think that all three of these are hammers. And I think that a lot of people are just really sleeping. I mean, 2 seasons ago, they win the league by 18 points. And now fans are back in the stands. They lost so many matches at home last season. Now the crowds come back into Anfield, and I think it boosts them more than just about anybody in this league. When you look at how treacherous it is to go on the road to Anfield, it's such a tough ground to play on, such a tight, intricate ground, and the way that Liverpool play there over the years when fans are in the stands has been phenomenal. So I think that Liverpool easily get over 76.5 points. And those are my 3 bets. I've placed multiple units on them. Those are obviously just because they're going to be sitting there for a while. So I want them to really have some,
What that payoff?
on those. But yeah, those are my three, and I feel really good about them. I think that I at least cashed two of those three.
Yeah, no, I like those as well. I didn't realize you could bet on teams that finish in that top half. So Leeds and Villa should certainly be there. I mean, in Liverpool, what they went 50 some games unbeaten at home until it was broken this past season. So yeah, you had fans back in there. That place is gonna be absolutely rocking. We love that ground. So yeah, three good future bets right there. All right, let's go ahead now and jump on in. We got match week 1 starting tomorrow. How exciting does that sound to hear and to say it? I absolutely love that. Let's go ahead and jump on into it. We got the first match going on. We got Brentford versus Arsenal. It's the Bees versus the Gunners. The Bees have never been in this Premier League since it's been established since 1992. So look forward to seeing what they can bring. I'm not going to lie. I don't know a whole lot about the Bees. I'm going to watch a lot of soccer, obviously, this weekend. There's going to be 3 games that I'm definitely going to want to watch, and this is going to be one of them because I want to know what the Bees are going to bring, to the Premier League. We know they've got Tony, who obviously scored 33 goals in the championship, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this. What sort of things are you looking forward to in this game and breaking it down?
Well, I think just seeing the Bees in the top flight is very exciting. First time in the top flight since 1947. They have a total of 10 minutes on this squad of Premier League experience, and that is Tony, who came off the bench one time for Newcastle United. So, Tony, I think that 33 goals last season is definitely going to. I think he's going to score in this league, and that's where I think when you look at some of the past teams, maybe like a Norwich in the past with Pookie, who really couldn't find his form in the top flight. I think that Tony's going to bag at least 15 goals this season. I watched some film on him the last couple of days, and he really does do a lot of things well. He's always in and around it. And Brentford are just a really quality club, using analytics well over the years to really make the most of some players. I know that they had Maupay. There's the strike Watkins. Ollie Watkins. Just taking those players. They've scored 20 plus goals in the championship and then selling them at their highs. And both those players have been quality really in the Premier League. I know Maupay really struggled to find the back of the net a few times last season, but then you look at Tony, 33 goals in comparison, takes the pens. They made a good transfer in Oyeko. And, other than that, I don't know too much either. It's a squad that definitely has a lot of question marks, but one thing is it's a squad with a lot of chemistry. A lot of they're galvanized. So I think that they have enough really to stay in this top flight. I do. The fans are going to be rocking there. And I have a lot of question marks for Arsenal here. I mean, when you're looking at Partey going to be out for the first month, he's going to miss, against Chelsea, going to miss a couple of big matches, really. Gabriel, their best defender, he's going to be out for the foreseeable future. He's got knee tendonitis, which is never good. There's just not a ton of positives when you're looking at it. They were trying to offload Xhaka. Looks like Mourinho at Roma didn't end up wanting him, and I don't blame him. It's so now Xhaka is going to come back in, and they re-sign him to a new contract just to try to hold his value a bit. I just have a lot of worries. The only positive is there's no European football, and you've got some quality youngsters in the likes of Saka and Smith Rowe. They'll take Arsenal as far as this team can go. Obviously, I know that you'll probably touch on a little bit of Ben White action, but yeah, it's a tough first match.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, indeed. You've mentioned Ben White. That's where they think they did upgrade. They got rid of David Luiz, the walking red card. You don't have to fear if you're a Gunners fan that at any moment when a guy gets in the box, David Luiz is going to do something crazy. Don't have to worry about that. We got Ben White, a much better center back now and there, right there. So yeah, I would just advise people though, don't sleep on the newcomers. Right? It's kind of that. Some people like to sleep on newcomers as they come up to the Premier League, but I found a couple interesting stat here against Brentford. They played 3 Premier League teams last season across various cup fixtures, obviously the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. They held 3 of those Premier League sides to clean sheets, and in 3 of those 6, they also were able to score 2 goals. So to your point about being competitive and possibly being staying up, just from looking at the stats, it certainly looks like that. And in all of their fixtures last season, Brentford only allowed 8.6 shots. I mean, that's pretty impressive right there. So that speaks a lot to what we're going to see from this side. Good, nice defensive side right there. So my lean in this game is, again, we'll give you our official bets at the end. I'm going no goal in the first minute here in this game. I just see, being low scoring, get this game at Brentford, front of the crowds. Just don't lose it early. Again, you haven't been in the Premier League ever. So just don't lose it early. So
Yeah.
that would be my lean in this game, is no goals in the first 30 minutes for that one. So
Yeah, no, I like it. And yeah, I mean, when you look at Brentford in the championship, they score goals for fun. They were shipping some goals, but then when I was reading into it, the last 8 matches, the manager switched to a back three slash, back five, if you will, and they were able to do a little bit better defensively. So I expect to see a back three here, and to try and hit Arsenal on the counter attack, really. And I mean, they're going to have the fans pushing them on every attack. So my lean here, really, I think that both teams find the back of the net, because I'm just worried that when you look at no midfield stopper and Partey, now you're going to be relying on El Neni and Xhaka, and then there's no Gabriel. Is Ben White going to get his debut here? It's very quick, to really debut him. He probably does, because they just don't have enough. I'm hearing a lot of Arsenal fans are really excited about Albert Lacanja from Anderlecht, young, talented Belgian player that will play in the middle of the park. And then they did sign a left back, which was very needed, in Nuno Tavares from Benfica. But yes, I lean both teams to score here at -130, roughly, depending on where you're shopping. And yeah, I think that both teams can find it here, and I think it's going to be a good quality competitive match. I think that Arsenal are going to really have to bring it if they want to take all 3 points here.
that's music to every Premier League's fans as we kick off the action on Friday. Let's roll into Saturday's action, where we got my team. Everybody knows I'm a Manchester United fan. Manchester United is taking on Leeds United. I'm really curious to see how this game unfolds, because last year the two fixtures was, you had a 6-2 Manchester United win, and then you had a 0-0 just obviously goalless draw, in that reverse fixture right there. Obviously, Leeds had that narrative that, hey, we're just going to attack. We're going to score goals, but we'll also give up a lot of goals. That narrative shifted a little bit towards the end of the last season, because in their last 4 games, they only conceded 2 goals in their last 4 games. So that's what I'm going to kind of curious to see Leeds this season is, do they stick to maybe what they did in the beginning, which, obviously, they were a top of the table, club through much of the season there, and they were really attacking and bright, Harrison and Bamford and Rafinha. I mean, just so much attacking quality. There's a reason why they play that brand of football, is because those guys are really bright and they're fun to watch. But that's what I'm going to be curious to see is maybe what they do, maybe defensively. Do they kind of revert to what they were towards the very tail end of that season right there? We know Leeds last season, it cashed. Both teams are scoring over 2.5 a vast majority of the time right there. We also know what the story was from United. Don't be surprised if they go down early. We know the same storyline doesn't come over to a new season, but that was a story with Manchester United last season, was get down early and then go ahead and put the gas, or the foot on the gas, and go ahead and come back and win. So I'm excited for this. Obviously, like I said, big Manchester United fan. Want to start off our season bright. Want to go ahead and get the 3 points. My lean in this game, though, is going to be over 2.5 and both teams to score. I'm going to go ahead and bet it until the wheels fall off there in Leeds game. So how are you going to see this one unfold?
Yeah, I think that you made some really good points. In the last 11 or 12 matches, I believe Leeds only conceded 8 goals. And those were against some very quality teams. I mean, they beat City. They drew to Liverpool. They had a revenge game against United, because the first time around they got embarrassed. Then they held that match to a 0-0. So now here again, they start the season off where they were embarrassed the last time they went to Old Trafford. And they made some tweaks toward the end of last season, started keeping some clean sheets. The both teams to score in over 2.5s really dried out towards the back end of last season. That's for sure. But, they are a team that they out-energize teams. Their tactics are always going to be spot on. And, yeah, I really like them here, because I think that they're going to be I think they're going to be an A-plus lineup from Leeds. And then when you're looking, this could be, I think, a gift here. You might see a couple in this first week or two. If you really are paying attention to lineups and who's out, who's in, I mean, we're looking at United here. So Sancho, he's going to come in. I don't think he's going to start. He's going to probably be on the bench and check in at 60. Varane, it's too soon. Rashford obviously is injured. Tejas is injured. It looks like Cavani's not ready, which is a huge miss for me because he was on fire last season. I mean, and you made another great point. United just continued to start slow in matches, and I don't think they cannot continue to do that. I mean, if you continue to do that, you're not going to end up winning those matches and coming back consistently like that, like they did last season. So, um, Lingard, it looks like he's going to miss. So, I just see this as like a B Manchester United lineup versus an A plus. Like when I mean A plus, I mean this is Leeds' best lineup. So I think that they're relatively even. Yes, it's at Old Trafford where they got dusted last season 6-2, but they were able to come back and hold United down in the second match. And I think that they go in here. I think they go in with a plan to attack this match. I do like your angle of both teams scoring over 2.5 because I do think that Leeds score. So I'm going with Leeds here. That's really I think Leeds plus 1.25. So that if they do lose this match by one, we still win half of our stake and we can find some profit there. Minus 145, minus 140, depending on where you're shopping. I was able to find a minus 138 about a week ago. So I'm all in on Leeds here at plus 1.25. And that's where I see this one going.
All right, that's a nice one, right? Just United get the 3 points. That's all I care about. You cash your bet, and United gets the 3 points. We can all go home happy right there. That's what I'm looking forward to. All right, let's go ahead and get on in this next one. We got Burnley and we got Brighton right there. Does anybody smell under 2.5? Because you should, because Burnley cashed this bet 22 times last season, and Brighton cashed this bet 21 times last season. Under 2.5 cashed in both of these fixtures between these two head-to clubs, and the head-to-head under 2.5 has cashed in 6 of their last 8 fixtures. To me, it just lines up purposely, with kind of who these clubs are. We know Burnley under Sean Dice is defensive. You really got to grind against Burnley. If you want to get a goal, it's an absolute grinder. We know for them offensively, it's generally set pieces. I mean, sure, they'll get an open play goal, but you just got to watch out, for them on set pieces. And then Brighton, everybody knows from my daily sports betting show, we cashed a lot of Brighton tickets last year, but they're also really, really good defensive. So, yeah, to me right here, it's hard to ignore the numbers. Then when you factor in just who these teams are, what kind of philosophies they play, good defensive, no real, star power, obviously, on either one of these teams. Yeah, I would lean taking the draw. I could see the draw hitting in this game. I could see a 0-0. I could see a 1-1 game, but I could also see under 2.5. So if you're looking to bet this game, maybe lean draw or lean under 2.5, depending on the price for either one of those. So what are you looking forward to in this one between Burnley and Brighton?
I think that you're spot on. I mean, looking at an under here is probably the way to go. It's just the price isn't great. It's like minus 160 on an under 2.5. But when you're looking at these sides, I'm still interested in unders with Burnley because when you have a combination of Ben Mee and James Tarkowski with Pope in goal, that little triangle, if you will, in the back, it's very, very difficult to get past that. They sit so deep. Brighton really improved defensively last year because they got better and better with having the ball. So they didn't have to play a sit and counter style. They were more like, let's try and play as, our Brighton Barcelona type of style, if you will, and they just really struggled finishing chances, but they made some quality signings, a couple new strikers coming in. If one of those guys gets hot, I really fancy backing Brighton. I was able to cash some tickets with them last year. I'm glad that you were too, because they were also, though, at times a headache because I bet them and they absolutely dominate a match and still find a way to lose or draw a match. I mean, so there were some headaches there. If they clean some of that stuff up, I know that they lose Ben White, but I think that they just improved so much with having the ball that they should still be okay at the back. Yeah, under looks pretty good here. I'd be shocked if Brighton lose this match. I know this is the first match on the road at Turf Moor. It's not an easy place to go and play, but I do see too much quality here. I mean, I think that the quality is completely 60-40 here, leaning towards Brighton. And when you're looking at a draw no bet in the minus 140 range, yeah, I think that they have enough here. So yeah, I would be kind of some leans of Brighton draw no bet under 2.5, but both are significantly priced that way. They're both pretty juicy. So that's really no other feel other than those.
I love how you brought up Pope there in goal. I'm now doing my second season of fantasy Premier League action. He was the first player I bought. I wanted to make sure before my money went out, I had Pope in my team so I can go ahead and rack up those clean sheet points. So I love that you brought up him right there. Yeah, he's going to be a part of my squad. He certainly is right there. Let's go ahead and now move it on. We've got Chelsea versus Crystal Palace. Guys, on my Sports Betting Show, we cashed under 2.5 in that UEFA Super Cup. We talked about it there on my show. At one point last season under Thomas Tuchel, 21 of 24 matches, folks. 21 of 24. Just listen to what that sounds. Under 2.5 hit up under Thomas Tuchel. I know, obviously, they've got a lot more attacking prowess, than Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace actually dumped Andrews Townsend. I actually thought that was, I think that's going to be a big loss for them. They no longer have Patrick Van Arnholt. I like his quality coming up out of the back. So those are two pieces, that I think they'll miss. You're not going to get Lukaku in this game. I don't even think they've officially announced him yet in this. So you're not going to get Lukaku. I just see, if I was to bet this game under 2.5 or Chelsea win to 0. I don't see Crystal Palace getting a goal. I know they have Zaha, but he's their main prowess right there, and if you can shut Zaha down, you pretty much have stopped Crystal Palace. So to me, it's Chelsea win to 0 or under 2.5. That's the way I would go in this game.
I don't disagree at all. I mean, I was able to cash him under 2.5s under Tuchel last season. I don't see any reason to try and change that. I mean, it's just going back to the well, going back to what works here. And when you look at how they played Villarreal kind of dominated them a bit in the second half. And Chelsea were kind of fortunate to get out of that one with a victory. But again, they just do such a good job of containment on the defensive side of the ball, make it very difficult for teams to score. And I think that Crystal Palace are going to have a really tough season ahead. I think that they're going to be floating around that relegation spots really all season. Patrick Vieira, not sold on him whatsoever as a manager. He was diabolical. He was diabolical at Nice. Very, very poor. They're really going to be hurting without old boy Roy Hodgson. He always got the best out of them and always was able to create a surprise element for Crystal Palace. They could have some freak results where they were really able to pull off some upsets. I don't see it happening nearly as much. Zaha, another year there at Palace. He's wanted to leave now for 3 seasons.
Forever he's wanted out of that club.
It's almost like Zaha would hope that Palace would get relegated so that he can finally move, because he's obviously nowhere near a championship level player. He would get his move finally. It's Zaha or bust. I think you made some good points. Van Arnholt, I'm a big fan of Van Arnholt, really. I thought that he was much more quality than alluded to, I think, most of the time. And that left back spot now is a pretty big gap for them. The one thing that they've got is a good goalkeeper, and that could help this under 2.5. When you're looking at Guaita, he makes super saves, world-class saves regularly. And yeah, I think that's just the spot-on look at a plus price under 2.5, especially with Chelsea having to, on short rest. They made some changes. I know Conte played about half the match. Jorginho played about half the match. So it's not going to be an A-plus Chelsea lineup, but they should have enough here. I think that this is a 1-2-0 to Chelsea.
1-2-0 Chelsea. It just popped in my head while you were talking right there, and kind of popped in my head a little bit when you were talking about Brighton. But obviously you've got pesky Palace, and you said that they can kind of just nick something. I remember them last season against Brighton. They had no business getting anything out of that Brighton game. They got 2 goals on 2 shots on goal, and one of them came at the death. And it's kind of like that's what Palace does. They're pesky Palace, and they get something out of nothing. You're like, holy hell! Like, how did they do that? That popped in my head.
Is that going to continue? Were they pesky Palace with Hodgson? Are they going to be able to continue being that kind of pesky self with Vieira, or is he going to just try and make them more of like an expansive offensive style where then they don't have the defense to be able to hold up that? They have to sit and play counterattacking football. If he's trying to change any kind of philosophy to what Hodgson did, they are doomed. They are doomed.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep the conversation going now. Let's look at Everton versus Southampton. And this is, folks, where I got to caution you guys were lineups. Lineups is super important before you make a bet on soccer. Matt and I were talking here a little bit before this broadcast started, and I was talking to him about like where the goals going to come from in this game. And at the time when I kind of looked up, it looked like Calvert-Lewin wasn't going to play in. And now, through talking with him, we looked it up before the show. Now it looks like maybe Calvert-Lewin is going to play. So that could maybe bring some goals. So just make sure, guys, before you place bets, you look at lineups. But yeah, I thought beforehand, where are the goals going to come from? Because if Calvert-Lewin doesn't play, that's obviously Everton's star man. Richarlison, he just came back on Wednesday. He just got into Everton on Wednesday. So yeah, he's probably not going to be playing this game. Obviously, James Rodriguez is the key. I mean, just look at what happened last season when he wasn't involved in the game, versus when he was in a game. And then for Southampton, Danny Ings, they went ahead and sit their top goal scorer is no longer on there. So to me, it's where are goals just going to come from. Southampton obviously on fire last season to start the campaign. Then once injuries started to hit, it all just started to unravel for Southampton. Completely fell apart for them. They just couldn't stop it. This is a team that welcomes a new campaign. If any team does, it was them, because it was just completely falling apart there towards the end. So to me, I think goals are going to be scarce to come by. The last three head-to-heads I've seen under 2.5, so I lean under 2.5 in this fixture as well. Where are you going to see this one go?
I don't disagree. Again, I think that I don't see where the goals are coming from. I have a huge concern for Southampton right now, just with everything that's going on. Vestergaard, it looks like he's on his way out now. Right, right before the season starts, which is kind of shocking. Yeah, I don't see where the goals are coming from. And I also think that Everton, like if they go with this midfield three, which I am a big fan of this midfield three, when they go with Allen, Decore, and James, they're able to control matches. And, if they're going to have Digne, Keane, Godfrey, Coleman in the back with Pickford, and if Lewin does start up top, I mean, I definitely lean with Everton at a -110 price, but they're never a team that I really want to bet at odds on. There would be more of a team that I would rather bet, as a slight dog. So I do think under 2.5. What kind of price are we looking at here? I think it's like
The one player I do look up, and we both mentioned Andrews Townsend there for Palace, that he is now with Everton. So, I mean, I just like Andrew Townsend. He's pretty much a replacement for Theo Walcott, and I think that's an upgrade. I mean, and maybe I've just got the image in my head, maybe every other fan, of Townsend hitting that stunner at the top of the box against City a handful of seasons ago, but I can't get that image out of my head. I like what Andrew Townsend brings onto the pitch. Quality player in my mind.
I agree. I think that he brings something, like in big matches. He's always just like, he knows what he's doing. I mean, he's a decent crosser with the ball. He's got a great left peg on him. I think that he should fit into Everton. I'm sure that the Blues fans aren't like that happy with just like that kind of quality of a signing. I'm sure that they're looking for more there. But Rafa Benitez. One thing that we know about Rafa Benitez is, what is he going to bring? It's going to be solidity. They're just going to be able to not concede too many goals. In my opinion, I think that they're going to be. I think that Everton are definitely an under team. When you look at the manager philosophy, especially, I'm not interested. I don't want to bet Everton without Richarlison, just because I think that he is everything to them. I know that Calvert-Lewin's going to be the one to score the goals, but the most creative, the best player on the team is Richarlison, I think, hands down. So yeah, I think that under 2.5 at -120 is a darn good look.
All right, why don't you go ahead and take the lead on this one? We got Leicester City versus Wolves. What's going to happen in this matchup?
Very difficult one for me to call. I think that when you're looking, so it's Leicester -140, -145. That's come down a bit from -165. So I think that sharps do like a little bit of Wolves, but God, I mean, there's going to be no Podence, no Neto for the foreseeable future here. They're both coming off of surgery. A new manager who is now he's telling the fans that he really wants to come out and attack. I liked what I saw from Leicester last weekend. I thought that they had the perfect game plan against City. They played exactly how you want to. And the only concern is, they just lost. I'm blanking a little bit now. They lost their center half, Fofana. Wesley Fofana. he was, I mean, he was their best center half last season. He breaks his leg. He's out for the entire season. I mean,
Yeah.
he's not going to be back, maybe a little bit at the end of the season. It is a huge loss for them because I think that they had the opportunity to really play into some of that top four discussion if he was fit and available, and then if they were able to keep everyone else. Um, really just not a good feel here for me in this match. I think that Leicester scrape it just by if they play like they did against City last weekend. I don't see how they get beat here. I really don't. I think that you're maybe seeing a touch of value now, but I don't like to bet Leicester too much at like odds on, especially at like minus 140, minus 150 area. Like it just doesn't excite me. I think that they're a decent parlay piece. I do think that they win this match. I could see Wolves scoring. Getting Jimenez back is a huge boost for this team. I think that he's a top striker in this league. We need to see how he comes back off of that traumatic brain injury, the head injury that they had. I mean, that was really nasty stuff. So yeah, again, it's more of like wait and see. I want to see what Wolves look like under the new manager. Yeah, it's a complete pass for me, really. I think that Leicester do win, though.
Yeah, you mentioned right there with that new manager. I mentioned watching a handful of games this weekend. This is one of the games that I've got earmarked to watch because I want to see Wolves. Right, Wolves had that style last year of just really good defensively. Obviously, not having Jimenez hurts them, but that's what Nuno Santos does. It's good defensively. You mentioned this guy Bruno Lage. Maybe he's going to be more attacking. I never watched any Benfica games, so I don't really know his exact style. So this is definitely a game that I've got earmarked to watch so I can learn a little bit about Wolves and what they'll be like. Leicester's going to be confident. I mean, you mentioned it, the FA Cup Community Shield. I caution you a little bit, not you, but our listeners here. Obviously, they played their A lineup. City did not play anything near an A lineup, but give credit to Leicester. You're right, bang on. The tactics were perfectly spot to how to play against a Guardiola team, and they got that win right there. But yeah, for the Wolves, it's all about Raul Jimenez. I mean, you touched on it right there. Just an amazing story getting him back on the pitch. Everybody's rooting for this story, rooting for this guy, and then obviously the quality he brings. This team needs it. I mean, the goals just dried up once he wasn't made available to them. So yeah, super happy Raul Jimenez is going to be back. For me, if I was to bet this game, I would go both teams to score. I'm not sure who's going to win. Can't really figure that out. I lean Leicester, kind of like you said, but not enough confidence to bet it. But I do have enough confidence that maybe both teams to score. So that would be my angle on this one is both teams to score.
Yep. Yeah, I like that.
Let's flip it over
I
now. We
agree.
got Watford and Aston Villa right there. You got new boys in Watford. And when I look this team up, they still have Troy Deeney. I mean, doesn't he feel like every time Watford comes up, here comes Troy Deeney? How long has he been on this team? It's unreal that they still have
Yeah.
him right there. So, and obviously for Aston Villa, to me, it's no Jack Grealish. I mean, obviously they sold him for 100 plus million, whatever it was. They struggled without him when he went down due to injuries. This one to me is tough. I actually like Wofford plus point 0.5. I think they can nick a little point here at home until I see how Villa is going to replace Grealish. I know the names, but until I see it actually work on the pitch, I don't have enough confidence to actually bet them. So I'll take Wofford at home at plus point 0.5 points. That's what I got.
I don't disagree. This is a game that I'm staying really clear away from. I want to watch Watford. This is one that I want to see. There's a couple teams that I'm really looking to watch. Villa or another team, see how they get on without Grealish, how they're going to want to set up. Because when you're looking at Ollie Watkins last season, always playing through the middle, now you bring in Danny Ings. There's a little bit of that selection dilemma. Are they going to play two? Is someone going to go out wide? I've seen some comments from Dean Smith that Ollie Watkins scored however many goals, like 15 goals or whatever last season playing centrally. We're not going to move him out wide. So it's just, is there going to be a tweak in the formation here, and how are they going to get on with that? But I like their back line. I thought that they made a couple really big and really good signings this season. I think that they're going to be able to get on just fine. I just think that it's coming a little bit too soon for me to want to really get into bed, if you will, with Villa here in week one. So I think that yeah, draw looks pretty good here. It's hard to split.
All right, cool. We'll let you take lead on this next one. It's Norwich City versus Liverpool. How's this one going down?
Yeah, Norwich a little bit depleted here when you're looking at some of these players that have come in. It doesn't look like they're going to be ready. And then we talked about it before air. Like they start out with this gauntlet. They've got Liverpool, and then they go on the road to Man City. And so, like,
Brutal.
why would you want to rush back someone like a Cantwell who has this just like a small little ankle thing, a little issue there? Why rush him back here? I mean, I would, your season almost starts in week 3, which is, a
Right.
little bit, it's a little bit disrespectful to say that, but at the same time, I mean, you're playing the two big dogs right off the gate. You don't want to see anything else happen to someone like a Todd Cantwell, and you know, it, I just see Liverpool really being able to score goals for fun here. The thing is, so I definitely want to be on some Liverpool win to nils coming up when Virgil is back. I think that people are really, really sleeping on this team. I talked about it at the beginning, and they've had a full preseason. Salah, Mane get the full time off.
Mhm.
Firmino still plays sparingly for Brazil, so it's not like he was completely overworked. Keita, he's the Wijnaldum replacement, and he had a full preseason. Thiago Alcantara didn't play a ton for Spain in the Euros because it sounds like he had a little bit of an injury. So waiting to see what happens with him. Henderson just getting back. He's probably not going to be ready yet. So we could see Keita and Milner there in the back. Fabinho going to come back into center defense. And then I'm telling you, I think that it is the best partnership in the Premier League. Once Virgil is at 100% back and healthy, Kanate and Virgil is just, it's two colossal defenders with a ridiculous amount of pace. Both 6'4", 6'5". They both can pass the ball extremely well too. Kanate, that's the one thing when you look at his scouting report, he's a very good passer out of the back. And then Robertson did just get a little bit of an injury here. He's going to be out probably till the first international break. But Kostas Tsimikas, the Greek international, he has got a great left peg on him. It's not as big of a drop off as some might be led to believe here. And so this is his chance. He's been the best player for Liverpool in the preseason. So he's going to get a chance, I think, here to shine in match day 1 against Norwich on the road. And, Trent, Allison, I mean, contract extensions galore with this team. It's a galvanized, the chemistry is ridiculous. If you're a
Yeah.
big FIFA Ultimate Team guy, it's a chemistry that has 100 out of 100. It really does. Joe Gomez coming back. So last season, they're playing with some serious scrubs at the back, and they were able to still win games. Now you're getting 4 really good center halves. When you're looking at Joel Matip as the number 4 choice, I think that it's very quality. And so they start off with Norwich and then Burnley, and then they get a big home match against Chelsea, where I just think that they've had better preseason prep than any of these top 4 teams. I think that they can get off to a flying start here. So I've got Liverpool to score in both halves at minus 117. I think that Liverpool, if some books might not offer that. That was that FanDuel that I found that at. Liverpool minus 1.5, Liverpool halftime, full time. It's always just how do you complicate something? But I do see that. I think I'm a little bit worried to take the win to nil in match day 1 just because of who is going to be the center back partnership. But that in the future, if I get Virgil and Kanate, I'm going to be all over some win to nils. And yeah, it looks like it's either going to be Virgil and Matip or it's going to be Kanate and Matip. But yeah, I think this is I think it's like a 2-0, 3-1, 4-1 type of victory here on the road. Norwich had a poor preseason. They've got good players that just are not ready, some under COVID protocols. It just doesn't look like an ideal spot for them. I know that it's going to be rocking there, and they had a great, fantastic first match day 1 match in the 2019-2020 season. That was an absolute 4-3 thriller. I just see Liverpool being a little bit more solid this time around, and yeah, I think that they make this easy work here.
Yeah, I'm with you. Don't sleep on Liverpool, folks. I mean, you touched on with their center back. I mean, they had guys that were in the championship that they brought over in January playing at their center back. You're not going to have those guys this season. You got, to your point, you got Virgil van Dijk, absolute stud, top center back, in all of the world right there. So they're going to be roaring. They're going to be ready to go. I'm with you. I'm all on Liverpool, in this game. This is one of the clubs that I watch every single weekend. I love watching a Jurgen Klopp, team. I just the brand of football that they play is super entertaining, and I just enjoy watching it. Norwich, super sloppy last time they were here. I mean, just really, really sloppy. All the balls that they conceded in their own final third and just gave up easy goals. Jurgen Klopp will take advantage of that. I don't know if they've got that problem fixed. Obviously, they were in the championship last year, but Klopp's going to test it. He's going to see if they've got that problem fixed. And you've talked about all that quality up and down that starting 11. That's all Liverpool has is quality. They're all healthy, and they're all going to be ready to go. So yeah, your bets that you have for Liverpool are right in line with mine. I've got Liverpool team total over 2.5 goals. I just see them scoring goals. It's going to come frequently, and it's going to come often. So yeah, go ahead and give me a Liverpool team total over 2.5 for me. Let's go ahead.
I like it. Just real quick, just to touch on when Norwich come back into the Premier League and they lose their best player to Villa and Buendia. It's just a huge cause for concern. And one other wager that I have placed is I've got an open parlay right now. I've got Liverpool in the first leg here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine that with next week's match against Burnley. I think that Liverpool start the first 2 weeks off with 6 points. I really do. And at minus 160, it's not a great price, but I think it's a bet that you can feel pretty confident in.
Yeah, Norwich and Burnley right there. You feel real confident getting 6 points and getting your money back on that wager. That's certainly a good one. We got 2 more games left on the schedule. We've got Newcastle versus West Ham. Look, Newcastle had a lot of good fight last season. I don't remember which match week it was, but I remember looking at the future odds of which team was going to get relegated and being like, it's going to be Newcastle. Like, I liked the value at that time. I can't remember the number, like I said, or the match week, but I was like, Newcastle is going down. I mean, they look terrible. And then all of a sudden they flipped a switch. Steve Bryce, I think it was after that international break, if I recall correctly. They after that international break, just Bruce had them playing better and they started getting points. And obviously, here they are. They've stayed up in the Premier League. So I'm looking forward to that. What are they going to be? What are they going to be to kick off their campaign? Are they going to be that team that showed a lot of fight? Are they going to show that team that, struggled and was in a relegation battle, for much of that season? And West Ham, love them. I absolutely love them. They don't have Jesse Lingard, obviously. He was the one that kind of ignited their season last year, coming over from Manchester United. But they still got quality. And to me, it's Antonio. I've got him on my fantasy team, had him on my fantasy team last year, bought him again this season. I love Antonio leading the line there at West Ham. Obviously, Rice there in the midfield. They're good, just good. Cresswell, I think he's a good attacking fullback coming forward, getting in crosses on the whip. So, yeah, to me, I like everything about this West Ham team. Because it's a little bit of unknown with what you're going to get with Newcastle, I'm a touch hesitant, but I do see both of these teams finding the back of the net. So that would be my bet in this game, is both teams will score in Newcastle versus West Ham for me. What about for you?
Yeah, a couple. So, I mean, when you just touch on what are we going to see from Newcastle this season, I mean, I think it's excitement. But they always just have struggled because like players like Alan St. Maximin has had his injury concerns. Almiron has struggled to stay fit. Frazier. Now they're signing Joe Willock, who was a standout last season on loan in that second half from Arsenal. Now they pay £20 million for him. I think it's a big-time signing. I mean, when you look at a front four of Wilson, Maximum, Almiron, and Willock, with like players like Frazier coming off the bench, Matt Ritchie being able to come off the bench, and then you still have got like Shelvey, Longstaff, Isaac Hayden. I mean, quality, and then you've got Joe Linton as well, just being able to come off the bench.
It's goals.
I think that they're goals. It is. It's goals, and are they going to be able to keep the back door closed? Probably not. I think is that a little baby action there?
Yeah, 2-year-old trying to make an appearance. He's loving your pick, man. He's loving your analysis. That's him shouting in agreement.
That's what it's all about. If he's on board with it, then I feel pretty confident. So I'm going with an over 2.5 here. And then just kind of touching on West Ham, though, like you mentioned, Antonio, brilliant. When you're looking at, I think for a fantasy perspective, that's a great one. I mean, Declan Rice in the middle of the park is really quality. They were able to hang on to him, it looks like. I think that they're going to be really solid again. Um, and I over 2.5. It's been a bet that I've placed between these two the last four matches. It's cash in three of the four. I'm getting plus 105 on an over 2.5 in the last four matches between the two. 16 goals.
Mm.
16 goals in those. They've been 2-2, 3-2 thrillers. One of them was a 2-0 to West Ham that probably should have still gone over 2.5. So, yeah, I'm going back to the well there. I think that it's just teams that have very quality attack minded squads, and then the defense just isn't up to par with the opponent's attack. So early season should hopefully have some good weather here, and I think that it leads to goals. So yeah, plus 105 on an over 2.5 here. I like it.
Love that value right there. Love goals being scored in that fixture for sure right there. All right, let's move over to the last match there on the fixture list, or the last fixture on the match list right here. It's Tottenham versus Manchester City. Big boy versus big boy. Let's go ahead and call it right there. For me right here, I'm really going to look forward to Spurs and see what they do up under Nuno Santos. Obviously, no Toby Alderweireld. I want to see what they do on the defensive. No Toby. I'm slipping on the guy that they signed from Atalanta, but I know they got a nice big signing there for Atalanta. That's a big upgrade because Mourinho is playing Eric Dyer as a center back. Eric Dyer is not a center back, folks. I mean, there's a reason why Tottenham struggled through parts of that season. So, yeah, if you get this guy in from Atalanta, that'll definitely shore it up for me. No Eric Lamela, so don't be betting any yellow cards, folks. You're not going to be getting any yellow cards. Can't be getting any easy bets. Eric Lamela is now at, Sevilla, I believe he got sent off to. Sevilla, if I recall correctly. So, right there. The big thing for me with Spurs is obviously Harry Kane, right? Probably certainly not going to play, but is he going to be in a Spurs uniform this season? They signed Martinez from Inter, or at least it looks like they signed Martinez from Inter. I hope that means they're not going to now ship Kane off to City. Maybe they play them as a partnership. I'm not quite sure right there. City for me, though, obviously touched on earlier. You got Jack Grealish right there. I mean, they're the team to beat. I think it's a two-headed race for that title, as I said earlier, between City and Chelsea. They're unstoppable. I mean, look at all the win-to-nils they did last season. They just absolutely just punish clubs with that possession. Everybody knows how City plays, right? They're going to hold the ball. They're going to keep it, and you got to fight to get it off of them. And when you do get it, they're just going to get it right back off you. So not knowing the full lineups, assuming Kane is not going to play, I'm going to go ahead and take City 1-0. I mean, that was a popular bet last season. I could see City winning this game 2-0. So to me, it's City 1-0 in this one for me.
Yeah, so it looks like they're not going to be able to sign Lautaro Martinez just because I
It's
love
not
the
going to
transfer
happen.
market. So I'm all in. So it
Okay.
doesn't unless they were to increase their bid probably by another like 20 million. That's not going down. It looks like this morning City upped the bid on Kane, which would just really bug me because I think that we've got a true title race here right now as it stands. And if Kane comes into City, it's very difficult to find a way to not say that City are going to win it again. So. Um, yeah, it doesn't look like Kane's going to feature here. No De Bruyne, no Foden. They're not ready yet. So that's, I think that makes it levels the playing field out a bit. And Tottenham found the blueprint and the blueprint is pretty known on how to play against Pep Guardiola sides. Tottenham have done it successfully now a few times. Think about the Champions League a few seasons ago when Son just went off. It's going to be the same exact match in my eyes as the Community Shield was. Obviously, City will play. They had two youngsters in that match. This one, they probably won't have that. But so I see this as being, a top six clash last season's mostly featured unders. I think that this is an under 2.5 at a plus price. That's where I lean here. Yeah, I think that City will dominate possession. I think it's probably it's a 1-0, 1-1, 2-0 to City type of situation for me. So that's where I see it as an unders. And I think that Nuno Santos is actually a better hire than I think a lot of people are alluding
Oh
to.
yeah.
He's going to be able to keep Spurs very solid, compact defensively. You were mentioning the signing Christian Romero. He was in the team of the season last year for Serie A. So it's a very good signing. They need something like that, probably to pair with Davis and Sanchez, because you made a good point. Eric Dyer is going to start in this match. And that might be a decent time to then pick on Spurs because he's not a quality center half. So, yeah, I think unders at City probably win. At first glance, I was like, wow, you're giving me City at minus 160. Then I dive in, no De Bruyne and no Foden.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to just leave it. I'm going to leave it.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right, guys. Those are the 10 games. Let's break down. Let's go ahead now and put up our official bets. These are ones that we've actually got our official money on. I'll go ahead and run through mine first. I've said it right there. Chelsea, Crystal Palace under 2.5. Yeah. Until the wheels just fall off, I'm just going to keep betting under 2.5. So that one's for me. Manchester United Leeds. That one's an official bet for me. I do see both teams getting on the score sheet, and I see somebody being able to pull out a winner, assuming it's not a draw. So that'll be a fun attacking game of football for me. And then Liverpool, that team total over 2.5. That is going to be an official bet for me, as I see Liverpool being all over Norwich. What are your official bets?
Yeah, I've got Leeds plus 1.25. At a slightly juicier line just because I don't really want to take the plus one, just because I think that it really might push at a plus 110. So I like just getting that extra quarter just to be able to possibly get a half stake winner on that one. I mentioned 16 goals in the last 4 meetings between Newcastle, West Ham. So I'm rolling with another over 2.5 there at a plus price. And I think that our bets on Liverpool are very similar. Whatever you can really find. I think that your bet is more than fine. But yeah, I've got them to score in both halves. I think they find the back of the net in that first half and in the second half, and we cash that. And yeah, I think that we can find some profit in this first week.
All right, there we go. The first week of the Premier League. You heard him say it right there. We're all excited. The Premier League is back. We got some good matches going on this weekend. I want to wish everybody good luck on your bets. I mean, unless you're fading us. If you're fading us, don't have any good luck on your bets. Make sure you guys come back next week. Match week number 2. We'll break down all those games, and we'll make sure we give you guys some more winning bets. Had a good time here, Matt. We'll look forward to seeing you back here next week. Enjoy the games, man.
Yep. Thank you, Jason. It was great.
See ya.